What is this? It's a GameCube NR disc and NR reader. For those not in the know, the NR reader was a development system that could only read a proprietary development disc format. NR readers can't play regular GameCube games and vice versa. Nearly no commercial PC optical drives can read them either, at least not without some hot swapping and tinkering. But what's on this NR disc? Well, this unlabeled gem is special because it contains a completely unreleased game. Pickles was a platform/adventure title by Santa Cruz Studios. This is the first bit of software from this game ever to be found. It was discovered recently by Cake Hoarder, who sent it to us to get dumped and preserved. If you're curious, he did a wonderful YouTube video breaking down the history and development of Pickles that I recommend all of you watch. Links below. For our purposes, we'll be focusing on what's actually contained on the disc, how it runs on an NR reader, can we dump it, its glitches, its playability, and of course, per the footage, how many monkeys we can stack on top of one another. I was a bit nervous at first. Cake mentioned the game was very buggy, and I was a bit worried it wouldn't run or dump. The back is also scratched to hell. The original owners didn't heed the disc warning. Please avoid touching or dirtying the recording surface of the disc. Sometimes when you boot the system up, it just immediately errors. Great start. Now, there are 2 worlds, each with 6 levels. On an NR reader, Cake Hoarder got levels 1, 2, and 6 to work on World 1, and if I recall, nearly nothing to work on World 2. On my end, level 1 won't seem to load at all. It just freezes. Nothing here. Looks like it froze up again. Neither does level 2. As soon as I make my selection, it just stops. Nope. Now this seems to be true for all of the levels except for level 6. Finally, level 6, World 1, boots up. And we'll show more of this stage later. Knowing that it worked for Cake Hoarder, I tried about 4 more times to get level 1 to load, and finally it did. The same for level 2. Unsure why, and completely unsure how. So here we go, this is the first level. It is on a boardwalk, it's marina themed, and many of these levels are in fact marina or water themed. You're going to notice here one of the first things that happens to me is I glitch through the boardwalk and I'm actually outside of the level itself. A bit of a boundary break, if you will. Again, this normally wouldn't be part of the game, but just kind of want to showcase to you my experience in more or less the order that it actually occurs. One thing you may also notice is that most of the sound effects and audio are coming in via one channel. Now, it's not my setup because the GameCube loading jingle is in stereo, as are some other sound effects, but for some reason, most of this is just one channel. Now, eventually here, I figure I should probably try to get back on the boardwalk. Takes a couple of tries. You can see me almost kind of snapping back to the ground, if that makes sense. I'm gonna go ahead and try one more time here, and there we go. Snap to the boardwalk, and I can showcase the level a little bit more normally now. One of the features of this game is to stack different animals, mostly monkeys, but occasionally other animals, on top of you as you ride around, and I would assume this would allow you to reach different areas and also interact with different things. You can also see here I'm picking up some fish, there's going to be some gems, some fruit, some other collectibles in future levels. Oddly though, when I press the Z button here, I get like this weird inverted camera angle. You're going to see it here in a second. Yeah, there it is. It's almost like upside down? Like you're looking at it from underneath. I don't know. Maybe it's to check out the other level geometry that you wouldn't normally see as a player? Not exactly sure. I also want to show off some of the more ridiculous and amazing animal designs here. Now, there's no hit detection with this shark. He's clearly trying to bite me. My goodness. Just love how hard he's trying. Looks so amazing. In Level 2, World 1, we get a little bit more of what you would consider to be a level structure, with lots of enemies that can actually hit you, collectibles, monkeys to stack, etc., etc. And the ability to fall off the little boardwalk thing pretty easily. As you can see here, I get hit by the rat and just lose a massive amount of fruit that I didn't know I had. Keep spinning and spinning. Get my little monkey boy back. It's super easy to just fall off. This guy's pretty fun. He was missing the tail flip animation, which you will see here in a second. And off I go. This level doesn't really seem to go anywhere. There's no, like, end point. You know, I would think it would be a lighthouse over there, but you can't, like, get to it. You can't touch it. All right, it's time to dump this thing. We have an RVT-R writer. It's a Nintendo development drive that can read and write both Wii and GameCube development discs. Now, despite my fears regarding scratches, it dumped with 0 errors. Now, despite the lack of errors, on World 1, levels 1 and 2 do not load on the Dolphin emulator, at least for me anyways. Perhaps someone can mess with this and tell me if maybe my settings are off, or go through the ISO data and do some sort of optimization, because the content seems to be here, the audio and the visuals exist, they just don't run. World 1, Level 3 actually works on Dolphin. It did not work on an NR reader, so that's a big win there. We can actually play it. You're going to see me kind of messing around with the lighting here. There's actually a button on the controller that seemingly changes the lighting effects, kind of removes some of the reflection from the water or makes it darker. Not quite sure why or what it's doing. There are also other debug features that you can turn on and off with your controller, including taking a look at the points of articulation, which kind of makes your monkey turn into a bit of a porcupine, which is kind of amusing. I should note here that this menu is almost useless. You can pause the game and you can go back into it, but the sound, ambience controls, none of that actually works. None of it's selectable yet. All right, now we're wandering over to the main area. We have a ton of stuff going on. We have a bulldog that's extremely aggro, that will constantly try to attack you, makes you spin around, losing all your fruit, all your fish, all of this random stuff. There's a conveyor belt in the background, and more breakable objects as well. There are these barrels in the background. You can jump on them and they explode with all of these gems. Now, I'm not sure the difference between the gems and the fruit and the fish. I don't know if maybe they're just all in the same category of collectible things. I don't really know. I'm not even sure if the developers knew. Maybe they were just throwing things together and being like, here are some options. Don't quite know. The conveyor belt here is very difficult to navigate. All of these rats keep trying to attack me, and you can't really gain enough speed to combat the effect of the conveyor belt. These crates in the back are breakable, and I do kind of like how the smoke cloud things are like kind of 2D. I kind of like that. I don't know if that was intentional. Maybe it's just a placeholder they put in for the time being, but I do kind of like the way it looks. Going over to the other side of the stage, you get more of the same breakable objects, more rats, more conveyor belts, but there's no real place to go. There's nothing really to accomplish here. Again, just sort of a demo. It's kind of an idea that the developers put together, being like, oh, okay, here are some physics, here are some characters, here are some collectibles. What could we do with this eventually? Or at least that's the impression I'm getting. Level 4, World 1, we're gonna see some very angry cobras. As soon as you spawn, they are just on top of you. One nice thing about this level is that it begins a little bit more of the animal stacking. As you can see, there are these monkeys in the background that are on these floating balloons, and you can collect them one by one. It is kind of funny though, because there's so much stuff to break open that you break open these jars or pots or whatever they are, and the gems disappear before you can actually collect them all. And your main character doesn't really move very fast. We have another similarly set up level here, except instead of cobras, we have this large sort of coin-shaped thing that's just spinning around, trying to kill me, trying to knock monkeys off my back. Ooh, and we get an elephant as well. This is pretty hilarious. Look at this. Let's go ahead and see that again. Just the sound effect here. This elephant spinning around and just flying off me. Here you're gonna notice some bugs, like I'm still playing the same level, but then it goes to black, and then it sort of transitions back into the gameplay. Like it's almost like a wipe, like the camera comes from the left, or the camera comes from below, or something like that. Very bizarre. Now level 6 we saw before on the NR Reader, but here it is again on Dolphin. Again, sort of a contained level. Get all the monkeys. Not really much to do once you have them, though. Kind of a precarious situation. Now, I thought because the clown in the back has sort of a ramp leading up to its mouth that maybe I could go up it, but I can't seem to. World 2 Level 1 starts with a warning that I have to dismiss, and it's just a lot of slowdown in a blank, empty space. Level 2 is the same thing, but it runs a lot faster. Seemingly, this is just sort of a play space for me to mess around with my debug features. I don't really know. Level 3, we're going to get a big glitched out space. There seems to be something there. It's just Dolphin can't render it. I don't know. Again, maybe it's a settings thing. I'm not sure what's going on here exactly. But you're going to get the same thing in Level 3 and Level 4 in World 2. Seems to load something, and then it goes to this. It's very bizarre. But yes, for the next couple of levels here, the last two, we're going to see things that we have kind of seen before. They're going to be very similar, a little bit different, glitchy in different ways, but basically playing around with the same themes and basic mechanics. You know, maybe I get the elephant first, and then I get a monkey, or something to that effect. But essentially, it's more or less the same, with just the developers adding little wrinkles and bits and pieces here and there. And of course, different amusing glitches. Like for this one, the floor seems to just be kind of not here. So that's Pickles. At least Pickles in a rudimentary demo stage. This game changed quite a bit during its development, and unfortunately it never really found its groove. It had ideas, but those ideas never really meshed into gameplay. Despite this, it is a semi-playable experience now, and it has been recovered. Cake Hoarder will be releasing the game today on Hidden Palace, and you can play it for yourself. I hope you all enjoy the experience. Big thanks again to Cake Hoarder for letting me dump the game, and to you, the viewer, if you like content like this, please make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, join us on Patreon, all that good stuff that helps support the show, and of course, hope to see you all back for the next video. Take care. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and wanted to let you all know you are invited to a live Hard4Games meet and greet at the Detroit Retro Video Game Show on November 4th. Details in the description below.